Well, Toowoomba's latest singing group, the Gowrie Gals, are certainly making their presence felt. You might have heard me having a chat to Robert Ketton last week on ABC Southern Queensland when we were talking about the success of Downsteam's inaugural run of its Loco 106 with paying passengers, and talking about the Gowrie Gals performing on the train on that inaugural run. That was superb, but actually made their debut last winter at the Toowoomba Jazz Society with the Jim Miller Big Band. But let's find out a little bit more about the Gowrie Gals, the music they sing, and give you a little sample and where you can catch them in the not-too-distant future. The Gowrie Gals are Sara Hales, Bronwyn Blanck and Ebony Rosier, and they join me in the studio. Ladies, welcome. Lovely to have you in.
Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, all over southern Queensland, people get together and form bands and groups all the time, but in most cases, let's face it, they're probably 3 or 4 teenagers with a set of drums and some second-hand guitars and that sort of thing, and they annoy the neighbours. Whereas in your case, 3 women with your own lives come together with a shared interest in a particular type of music. So how did this happen? There were no sort of ads on the wall of the local food works or anything like that. It was a little bit more sophisticated.
There was no ads. So all of us have played with the Jim Miller Big Band, and it was actually Pat, who leads the Jim Miller Big Band, that brought us together.
Pat Murphy.
He had a vision for, Pat Murphy.
Yep.
He had a vision for an Andrews Sisters type female trio, and so he put us together, and that was over a year ago, wasn't it?
He'd been harbouring this want, and just happened to be one night after a rehearsal, I turned to him and I said, wouldn't it be good if there was some other singers in town that liked this type of music, Andrew Sisters type music, with some close female harmonies. And he turned and said to me, I really like that idea. I've thought about that before. And then that's when we got talking, but I didn't know, I'd known Bronwyn from the band, but Sara I'd never met before, and she wasn't with the Jim Miller Big Band at that point.
Right, okay.
So then it just, I think, my coming to Pat saying I like the idea. He had already had the idea, but didn't know how it would come about.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Sara, you were the linchpin sort of in the whole plan, were you?
I don't know. I think it was just like maybe great minds think alike or something like that. Because when I did join the band, which was a little bit, like Ebony says, a little bit after that, I said to Pat, look, I love doing harmony work. So if you have any other singers who are interested in doing harmony work, then let's pull it together. And Pat said, I've got this Andrew Sisters idea, and I've got some other people interested, so let's do it. So all the things fell into place.
That's brilliant.
And of course, Bronwyn was roped in.
Against your better judgment, Bronwyn?
Well, I was more a tenor saxophone player with band rather than a vocalist.
I see, right.
So, yes.
So was that sort of a matter of sort of split loyalties? Do I stick with the saxophone? Or, well, I guess you do. You still do in the band, so this is another outlet sort of thing. Gotcha. And had you always, you'd sung before, you didn't just sort of discover your voice, as this group came together?
Well, it's something that's developed over time with Jim Miller.
Right,
when I first started playing with them 24 years ago, we really only had male vocalists, and they wanted to mix it up a little bit. So someone said, Bronwyn, would you like to have a go? And sort of threw me under the bus, so to speak.
Well, not under the bus. Shall we say, allowed you to discover this other side of you.
Yes.
Let's go with that. How difficult is it to sing this type of music? I mean, it's like anything. The audience
For me, it's extraordinarily difficult.
Well, because the audience appreciates the end product, but I don't think anyone sits there thinking, wow, all singing different parts. If you all sang separately in that part, it wouldn't sound anything like the tune.
These tunes have been cleverly arranged by people who, they know what they're doing, these arrangers. It's not a quick go-to song. Where we're finding we can't just go, okay, well, we want to do this song. It takes us many rehearsals, many nights of, doing rehearsals, learning our own parts and then coming together and just chunking away at it, you know, in a rehearsal together. It might take us maybe a whole month to learn one song.
Really?
Yes, yes.
And
It's a long time.
what is it that makes it so hard? What's the challenge?
The parts, so the supporting harmony parts often sound not much like the melody, and also they do things that your musical ear doesn't expect them to do. So you've sort of got to go against your instincts to sing the melody and sing something different that often sounds really weird on its own.
Yeah,
the harmony parts sound really weird.
And then when it comes together with the band, that's when it makes sense, because you can hear the full harmony, you know.
So in that case then, when you performed at Downsteam's inaugural run, which was fantastic, did I think the same song, but in every carriage, 3 or 4 carriages, that was a hard working day. And then I think the next day, the David Hack Classic. So you girls really sort of earned your keep that weekend. But that was the first time you'd actually played without the big band, is that right?
Yes. Well, in front of other people anyway. But we rehearsed generally without the big band.
Yeah. Was that pretty daunting?
I didn't think so. What did you guys think?
I think it was easier than we anticipated, maybe.
Right, okay. You just sort of find once you've got the note.
Once we've got the note, we're away.
Yeah.
And having Ian on the day with us with the Downsteam event was really good. You know, he was there to support us. But it's not just, we're 3 friends also too. Yes. You know, we're yes. It's good when you've got your friends by your side.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels a bit
gives
more.
Gives you you know, confidence, and we kind of work off each other, and
we're much more into sort of helping each other and supporting each other than having a go at each other, because you've got 3 musicians doing things, and sooner or later everyone's going to make a mistake, and this is more about support and friendship and having a fun time together than crucifying someone who's got it wrong.
That's it.
Which I'm really relieved about, because I make mistakes all the time.
It's only human. Ladies, we were talking about the fact that, and I've always said that Toowoomba is so blessed in terms of the number of musical groups, you know, the municipal band, and you've just reminded me today before we started of the Cool Nights Big Band, and of course the Jim Miller Big Band, and that spawned this group. But that is particularly important as a way, I guess, of nurturing new talent and maintaining that reputation that Toowoomba has as a bit of a creative hub. How important are these bands to that process?
Yeah, you're so right. Community music is where a community fosters the talent, and that's where, you know, the big acts for the future come from community music. And without a really strong community music sort of environment, it's really difficult for, you know, groups like us to find each other and to have the sort of safe experiences together where they can foster a talent and develop a set of music and actually become performers. So, you know, and for us, that environment was the Jim Miller Big Band, and so the role that plays, and other things like the other community bands, and, you know, there's a fantastic blues jam session in Toowoomba as well, and, you know, there's a few other jam sessions, but those sorts of things, that's where musicians learn their craft, and it's so important to support them.
And in terms of sort of the government fostering that, so you're talking the government needs to continue to nurture that by, do you mean funding performance opportunities such as Carnival of Flowers? How does sort of government support?
I think so, and I think there's always this tension when you have an event like Carnival of Flowers where, and other, you know, big events, there's this tension between wanting to put on truly professional musical acts, and then also, and that often will involve bringing acts in from out of town as well, as we see a lot of that, versus wanting to foster community music. And I think that it's just really important that community music gets its share of that pie and continues to get its share of that pie, so that those local musicians can find their feet and be developed as talent for the future. And that's how we will make sure that Toowoomba always has a vibrant music scene with really talented bands, because you know, there are some fantastic bands here like Gypsy Jumbucks we're playing with later in the year, and they're an example of an outstandingly talented band with very sophisticated and capable musicians.
Yep, you're right, but you know, if the government support wasn't there, then it's quite easy for that to change, with older members, you know, leaving or getting too old to do it, and you know, without that talent coming through, it could all
that grassroots.
It could stall a little bit too easily without that support. So very, very good point. All right, the Gowrie Gals are going to perform for us now. Here they are with the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B.
A 1, 2, 3. He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was a top man in his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him play a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he could not jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next year the cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A root, a toot, ya toot toot, he blows 8 to the bar. In boogie rhythm, can't play a note less the bass and guitar playing with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he played boogie woogie bugle, he was busy as a busy bee. And when he played, he made the company jump 8 to the bar. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. La da da tooly da tooly da toot toot. He blows 8 to the bar. Can't play a note less the bass and guitar is with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. He puts the boys to sleep with boogie every night and wakes them up the same way in the early light. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how it goes when someone gives him a beat. It really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A root, a toot, ya toot toot, he blows 8 to the bar. In boogie rhythm, can't play a note less the bass and guitar. Whoa, whoa, wee. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Yeah. Well done, the Gowrie Gals. Their next date, you can catch them playing with the Jim Miller Big Band on Friday, July 26th at the Toowoomba Jazz Society. It's news time, 10 o'clock.